Go.
It's 9/21/2024, and I'm speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich about his book titled Their Mother's Sons. Mr. Jeckovich wrote this book approximately 25 years ago. It's about his life from 11 years old to about 80. It includes taking care of his mother, Ann Targus Jeckovich, and his marriage to Delphine Stulak Jeckovich, and the Battle of Bulge and his World War II service. Today we're going to start reading on chapter 18, and it's titled Delwood Ballroom and Delphine. Before I start reading, Mr. Jeckovich, what is your dog tag number?
429.
I see. Did you want to read or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Is there any comments you want to make before I start reading?
No.
Okay. Is he focused in?
Yeah, he's good.
You're looking very nice with your new haircut and your brand new clothes.
Brand new clothes.
Looks all brand new.
These guys are 50 years old. This shirt is 20 years old.
No. You're very modest.
Oh, they knew I got a haircut.
You're very modest. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion, the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich's division was affectionately called the Diaper Division. Why was that, Mr.
Well, they put all the kids out of ASTP college.
They're all young kids.
All 19.
Right out of high school.
33s.
What does 33s mean?
19.
19.
Combat age.
Combat age. And Mr. Jeckovich, also many of these young men at 16 lied about their age just to get in, because they had these young kids back in the 40s had a great desire to serve the country with honor and respect. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto since he was a teenager, and his motto is quite simple. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Today is a gift. Mr. Jeckovich knocking on the door of 100 years old. So today is a gift, and tomorrow is a mystery. Okay. This is about the Delwood Ballroom. What do you know about the Delwood Ballroom?
That was a big exclusive dance hall on Main Street in Buffalo. 25 feet past that is up there.
Was on the first and second story.
Second.
About how many square feet was it?
I would say it's probably as big as this whole area here.
So
I mean, the whole building.
It was a big.
Well, they had 25 feet down up there all the time.
Mm-hmm. And what type of music did you primarily play?
Dance music.
Was Glenn Miller one of the?
Glenn Miller, Turner Pearls, yeah.
All right, let me shut this off, Mr. Jeckovich. Let me shut this off, Mr. Jeckovich. Okay. And that's where you met your wife.
At the Delaware, yeah.
Your wife was Delphine Stulak Jeckovich, and they were married for 69 long years. And Mrs. Delphine Stulak Jeckovich just passed away in 2020 at the age of 90 on August 14th, 2020. Okay. What would you want to say about Delphine Stulak Jeckovich before I start reading?
She was a sweetheart.
She was a sweetheart. Yes, she was. Everybody's friend. She was everybody's friend. Okay. Picking up on Chapter 18, page 524, docu-series 376. As I drove along the highway, the vivid colors and trees surrounding the landscape brought me back to memories of yet another time. And time was much simpler. I didn't think there was times that could be simpler than the 40s, but I guess every year that someone's living, they always think the past is simpler. And time was much simpler without constraints and duress, which had increased in my life since. I thought of Jean as we bicycled along the beautiful coast of Wales and how much life was worth living. as I was going off to war and facing possible death. It's interesting when most of the soldiers, the World War II soldiers, the young combat soldiers, when the war was winding down, when the war was just about over on the European front, all the young guys said, I was lucky to make it this far, and I don't want to get shot by a sniper, so I want to be extra careful. I don't want to lose my life now by some rogue bullet. In fact, in the Yank magazine, you read the Yank?
Yeah.
In the Yank magazine, there was so many young Army guys that were in combat saying, man, we got through it this far. There's not much time left. The war is winding down, but I don't want to get hit by some damn rogue Nazi sniper and end it now when I made it all the way to this point. That was the big subject of discussion then in the Yank magazine. Did you get the Yank magazine often?
Yeah, I got it every week.
Okay. How about Stars and Stripes?
Stars and Stripes too.
Okay. Which one did you like better?
Stars and Stripes.
Okay. All right, so that was the big discussion about the young guys made it through the war, and now they don't want to get hit by some rogue assassin. Let's see. Because, you know, we're towards the end of the war in the European theater. It was Hitler was a psychopath to begin with, but as he knew that his time was up and he was going to commit suicide and kill his dogs first and kill his girlfriend first, he was going by the scorched earth theory.
Yeah.
As the scorched earth theory during World War II, Hitler wanted to destroy everything, leave nothing. He knew he lost. He didn't want to leave nothing standing. So he ordered all his men and all his top officials to destroy everything in sight. Some did listen, but most didn't. Towards the end of Hitler's life, not too many people were listening to him. They knew he was a psychotic person, and he blew his brains out at the age of 56. But before he did, he caused destruction to many families and destroyed and bombed many towns. It was a mess, and we're still recovering today. So the scorched earth theory basically started around Hitler's time. It might have hit a little hard during World War I, but the military is still using it today. How much different my life would have been if I followed my instincts instead of my emotions? Would life have been difficult or different, or would I have done before what I've done before and revert to the former conditioning I fell prey once again to, my immobility? I had done just that recently with Valerie by throwing roadblocks before her until she became confused and struck out of her on her own. I had repeated that same cycle once again, and once becoming alarmed, and I was running out of chances with nothing to look forward to but loneliness and solitude. Okay, this is where you're driving to Pittsburgh at your mother's request to visit your older brother. I arrived at Steve's apartment at 11 p.m. and he was waiting for me. We had a light snack and then occupied the next several hours talking about his job. You weren't talking about your job?
Oh.
Just his job.
His job, yeah.
Just his job.
Yeah.
He was going on and on, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. What exactly did he do?
Yeah.
What did he do? What kind of job?
Put glass.
What did he do?
Well, he was a troubleshooter, so-called.
What?
They sent him all over the country.
Selling?
Huh?
Selling?
No, selling part was wrong with the factory. I was not producing.
Okay. So we spent several hours talking about his job at the local glass factory. He was still the same, with a penchant for being pompous and his bragging mannerisms already boring me, and I was counting the time when I would leave. So you just got there, and he was already bragging, and you wanted to already leave.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We finally retired with my sleeping on the couch in his one-room apartment. As I lay there trying to get comfortable, I thought how Stephen made this transfer to here without one thought or consideration for our welfare or well-being at home. It was a natural move on his part, and that was all that mattered as far as he was concerned. Outside of spending a little time at home during the holidays, for all intents and purposes, this was his home, and this was where his interest lay. In no uncertain terms had he made his decision with no hindrance from anyone or anything. His goal in life was established, and he felt secure in his future. I resented his self-centeredness, but I also admired it, for it was something I could never do no matter how much I tried. He was reaping the rewards where areas I was still floundering about with no real objective in mind, much less a clear view of what I wanted out of life. I'm surprised your mother sent you there. What was really the purpose? She didn't go. She wanted you to go for what was the purpose?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What the hell was the purpose?
Huh, there's no purpose.
I mean, I could see if you drove your mother there, that'd be different.
Yeah.
But she wanted you to go. Didn't make sense. The next day, we took a tour of the glass factory, and I was amazed to find out how similar its manufacturing of paper.
Yeah.
So once you went to the tour of the factory, the machines and the techniques were similar to Kimberly-Clark, right?
Yeah, production.
Production. Yeah, speaking of the paper, yeah. Let's see. The next day we took a tour of the glass factory, and I was amazed to find how similar it was to the manufacturing of paper. The factory was fairly old, but some of the equipment was up to date, and the general condition had the appearance of being maintained and looked after. So the equipment was in good shape, the building was old.
Yeah.
Just like everything in Pittsburgh. They're probably the same damn building today.
Yeah, South City.
And just like you noticed at Kimberly-Clark, when you went there as a World War II veteran, as a 21-year-old man, the kitchen or the break room is the same today in 2024 as it was.
So the night tech were tops looking now.
Yeah, as it was in 1940s. Yeah. And some of the equipment is still the same, because you said the machine you were working on was probably 80 years old in the 40s.
Yeah.
And they just keep maintaining
The dryers are probably 150 years old.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, they were taken care of.
Taken care of, right. Just like a mechanical car today. You can have a 1930s or 1940s gas engine, a mechanical car today, and as long as you take care of it, it'll go forever.
Yeah.
Now, when you fast forward into the 2020s, most of these cars are just basically computer on wheels. Computer on wheels. So the car, let's just say you have a 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980, and all the way up to 1990s, that's a mechanical car. So 50 years from this date, people could still fix a mechanical car. But when you have these modern cars, which are basically a computer on wheels with 50, 60, 70 computers on them, in 5 years when they break down, you can't fix them. A man can't fix them.
Yeah.
It has to be taken to the dealer, and if the dealer still has the availability of tools to fix them.
Yeah.
But what was mechanical, we're comparing this to, is the equipment that's very old in Kimberly, and the equipment that's very old at Pittsburgh plate glass. That's mechanical equipment that could be, it was built by man, it could be repaired by man. But this new stuff today, being a computer, man can't fix it 10 or 15 years from now. A man can fix a 1990 car 50 years from now, but a man cannot in the future fix these modern cars, because they're just basically computers on wheels, and they're basically you can use them as parts cars or dispose of them for scrap. But a car that's got a gas engine, it's a mechanical car, man of all generations forward could fix them. And that's the example I'm using about that equipment that's in the Kimberly-Clark and Pittsburgh plate glass. It's all mechanical. It could be fixed and it could be updated. So let's see where I'm at here. Let's see. Okay, now you're taking a tour of the glass factory. The factory is fairly old. I noticed that Steve was not too familiar or friendly with the workers, nor did the workers go out of their way to notice or acknowledge him. So your brother Steve's giving you the tour, right?
Right.
Your brother Steve's giving you the tour of the plant, right?
Yeah.
But you notice that he's not too friendly with the workers, nor the workers are acknowledging him, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that was?
Well, he was aloof.
He was aloof, okay. Let's see. The factory is fairly old, but Steve was not too familiar or friendly with the workers, nor did the workers go out of their way to notice or acknowledge him. He displayed the same, here we go, you got it right on, you know this book inside and out. He displayed the same familiar aloofness, which I imagine turned most of them off, so there was not too much direct communication between them. Steve also magnified the situation greatly, completely changing his demeanor whenever there was other management people about. So you're telling me by this paragraph that the workers on the construction line, he didn't communicate with them, but he lit right up when there was another management person there. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He lit right up.
Pissed the workers up.
Yeah, right. Just like you might experience during World War II. Same situation. He would then become more open and relaxed and generally have a friendlier attitude toward them. That's the management. It was the same all over. I thought the haves against the have-nots, and it was also pretty obvious who had the controlling interest. The workers looked the same as the people I worked with. All they had with the same purpose in mind is do their job and wait for quitting time and to really live it up. I noticed the sameness in lifestyle and only magnified my frustration and my delusionment in not fitting anywhere in the scheme of things. Okay, then that night we went out to a football game at Pitt Stadium. I didn't know you even went to a football game. I thought you weren't interested in football.
Well, he went to a football game. I went with him. So I was living there. I was visiting him.
So what happened at the football game?
Well, he had a case of beer, not beer, hot stuff on the back of the car, and they sat to watch the game drinking.
And did you drink with him?
No, I was pissed off. I was open the door and get out and walk out.
Who did he bring with him? His friends?
His buddies, yeah, his buddies.
And so now
management buddies.
His what?
Management buddies.
Management.
You can bring any workers.
So let me try to figure this out. You're there only for the second day, and he calls on his friends to go and take you to the game, to the football game, and before they get in the football game, everyone's drinking in the car.
Yeah. They're drinking at the football game. They park the car and they're watching the football game or whatever, drinking.
Let's see.
It was acceptable.
Okay. That night we went to a professional football game at Pitt Stadium to a capacity crowd. Before the game we all sat in the car, Steve and me and several of his associates from work. Some older than either of us, having highballs, is that what they call drinks, highballs?
Yeah.
Highballs, and discussing the day's event at work. I felt completely out of place. Besides having little to drink, I did not contribute much to their conversation. Steve was enjoying himself immensely, partaking of the drinks, oblivious to me being there. So he didn't know you were there.
Yeah.
You were invisible.
Yeah.
They were having intense discussions about the intricate, let me hear this, intricate what? Intricate relationship of various functions in manufacturing of glass and how the workers interacted upon it. By the time the game started, they were all feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And I believe none of them knew they were watching a football game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the football game, it was about drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, now here we go. The next morning I left for home, vowing not to return for a long time.
Yeah.
Did you ever return?
No.
Steve was in a hurry, for he had a golf engagement at 9 a.m. and apologized for not getting breakfast for us. Stating that he would get some breakfast at the clubhouse, at the golf clubhouse, and you should go to McDonald's. Just before the turnpike, there's a McDonald's. Okay. As I drove home, I thought over the events of the last 2 days, and what struck me most vividly was Steve's total unconcern for our vets at home or anyone there. He asked about everyone in a rather casual manner, and that was about the extent of his inquiry. There was not the slightest inclination to dwell on matters at home, for the matter, my own situation, or how I was doing. So he never asked you once how you're doing.
No.
How your job was doing.
Yeah.
How your mother was doing.
No.
Nothing. Nothing. I'll be damned. Let's see where the hell I'm at here, Stephen. Nothing, just a trivial inquiry, and then back to the matters that concerned him. His whole attitude, yet it was something just I realized I had been ongoing for as long as I recall.
Well, that's his attitude for us, but when he gets to management, it's a different attitude right off the bat.
Okay. Steve's job at the glassworks was entry level. Time in motion study, production, scheduling, union manipulation, and probably some line production work. This was all great. I understood the significance of it all, and I had no problem with it. It was the after hours on the glassworks that I found problems. Here his time was spent socializing with co-workers, namely partying and drinking. Nothing righteous about this, but just steady manipulative drone of social drinking. I found the drinking in the car before the football game appalling and distasteful. Yet Steve apparently enjoyed it and showed no uneasiness even with me present. I noticed he drank a lot and reminded me of Lookie. Lookie's your younger brother.
Yeah.
So you have a younger brother, Lookie, that drank? And you had
Steve was the older brother.
And Steve was the older brother that drank. I wonder if they both had an imbalance compelled them to drink in excess. Did your older brother drink even to his old age?
To his old age?
So he drank all of his life?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't quit?
Who?
Your brother Steve, did he drink all his life?
Oh, yeah.
He
wasn't drinking beer, he was drinking highballs.
Okay. Minutes?
6.
Here we go. Steve asked nothing about the home and evidently was not interested in anything related to the family.
Yeah.
He did not ask me how I was coping with the situation at home and probably did not even realize what the situation was at home. It was apparent that his whole being was concentrated and revolved around his inner directed self, and there was no room for any extra baggage. Wow. Perhaps if I inherited more of his self-interest, I would not be in the predicament I found myself in right along. I could never center my desires solely on myself. There was always an added burden of realizing other people's feelings and how my actions would affect them. I could never dislodge the compulsion, and I was frustrated by it constantly. It was over a month since I last saw Valerie, and I wondered how she was doing.
Who?
It was over a month since I saw Valerie, and I wondered how she was doing. I still missed her greatly, her discussions we had, and I also longed for emotional and physical attractionness we had for one another. I imagined she had forgotten me and was grateful for my abrupt and tactless departure. Work was no consolation, as it certainly did not alleviate or soothe the transitional period I had going through the departure of Valerie. I bore up rather well, I thought, considering I had no one to fall back on for support or well-being. I had nothing that Steve radiated to help me over the rough spots, nor did I have the wherewithal to direct myself into a positive direction rather than agonize over it needlessly. I still needed something, but what? I started going to the dances again. That's when you start going to Delwood, right?
Yeah.
I started going to the dances again, if only to do something to break up the ritual at work and at home. Mother was more docile and agreeable, and only because I was spending a large amount of time at home and doing more around the house. It seemed that she wanted someone around at all times to alleviate the pains of loneliness she must have felt. I sensed that would attempt to just be there under the pretense of doing something, but really only for the sake of company I would afford her. I noticed that Sally was never home. Where was she?
Oh, Sally?
Sally was never home.
Well, full on fiddler.
So she didn't do nothing around the house. She didn't do nothing around the house, right?
No.
Yeah. I noticed Sally was never home, and that she cultivated a slew of friends she was always running off to be with. She had little regard for Mother's feeling, and certainly did not realize Mother being alone. She, Sally, seemed to have the same character trait as Steve. The constant desire or drive to always be in touch with someone, a perpetual seeking out in a person or persons to fulfill the need for social gratification and awareness. Sally would not be home 10 minutes before she was on the phone making arrangements to meet someone or planning an event.
Yeah.
Always on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Mother would be perturbed at her action, but they did not deter or dissuade her one bit. She never saw the look of despair in Mother's eyes when she'd be leaving to meet her friends, and Mother wanted her companionship for just a short time. Somehow I understand Mother's loneliness, and I tried to alleviate it in some way. It's only being with her for a while, listening to the radio or having just a conversation and talking about nothing in particular. She would light up her eyes and would be aglow as she joined in the conversation, thrilled at the prospect of having someone close spending some time with her. Minutes, please.
2.
There were times I truly understood Mother's feelings, and I hope I would never experience that constant isolation that she must have endured throughout most of her lifetime. Despite her mannerisms alternating between explosive fits and raging periods of moody withdrawal, she was an extremely sensitive person who had a talent for masking her sensitivity to the point of making it non-existent to anyone. So, when you went to the dances at Delwood, how many times did you have to go there before you met Delphine?
I met her the first time.
The first time?
Yeah. Agnes and Rosalie, yeah. 3 of them, yeah.
And who was Agnes and Rosalie?
Agnes and Rosalie worked with her in Grants.
Oh, those were her friends she was with.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
They were her friends. They worked all together at Grants.
So they go
Rosalie was Jewish. Beautiful Jewish girl.
Okay, so they go to dances together and danced amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And then you got in the picture, and then you'd meet all of them again, right?
What?
You got into the picture at the dance hall, then you would stay the time with all 3 of them dancing, right?
I was?
When you went to meet your wife, Delphine, the second time, were all the 2 other ladies always there?
Nancy and Agnes and Rosalie were there, yeah. They were threesome.
30 seconds.
I see. So every time you went out, those 2 other ladies were...
Well, then I started cutting that out. I said, well, I think we're going to get together, just the 2 of us. And she was agreed. I guess she was getting tired of that, Rosalie, that Agnes.
So that's what happened then, right?
Yeah.
I see. So Delphine was agreeable to that.
Yeah.
I see. Second.
8.
So that is very interesting.